This is what theaters look like across the world, and it just keeps getting worse. The memes. Let's say that you were in a Hollywood movie, and the trailer for that movie dropped on YouTube, and it instantly became the #1 most downvoted trailer in the history of the platform.
See the other side. What's the dwarf?
Dwarf refers to a person with one of several varieties of a specific genetic condition called dwarfism. A dwarf has disproportionate body parts.
How it was so outdated and how Rachel Zegler disrespected the original and a classic from Walt Disney, something that completely saved Disney and changed the company and changed animation in general. And now as Disney desperately tried to do a PR spin job in the final months to make it look like Rachel Zegler is actually likable, it ultimately was a complete failure.
She continued celebrating herself by posting that she's in the #1 movie in the world, which is a remarkable thing to post when you are the laughingstock of an entire industry. This is what narcissism looks like. Narcissism for 200. Theaters are, of course, entirely empty. Do you understand that having people buy tickets is an important part of success in your industry?
The first problem is that she's the evil queen. The evil queen is supposed to be envious of Snow White's beauty, and that is just not believable. Even in a movie with magical mirrors and dwarves and all that, that strains my ability to suspend disbelief.
Probably the biggest aspect of disbelief you have to suspend is the idea that Gal Gadot, as the wicked witch here, as the evil stepmother, is somehow less good looking than Rachel Zegler.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Come on, gang. We ain't blind. Disney's Snow White was essentially a box office dud. Early estimates suggested that they would take in 48 to 58 million in the first weekend. Apparently, it did 43 million in its first weekend.
I wanted to talk to you because you might be as happy as I am at the failure of Snow White.
Brace yourselves for the most explosive rumor in Hollywood right now. Rachel Zegler, the breakout star who once dazzled everyone, is supposedly in tears, undone by a devastating public claim. Word on the street is that Gal Gadot herself has all, but confirmed Brett Cooper might be the real deal when it comes to portraying Snow White, leaving Zegler's confidence in tatters. Outrageous, right? Well, people are calling it the biggest backstage betrayal in years, a nasty reality check that rips the mask off a so-called fairy tale. Has Zegler's polished facade crumbled under the weight of one pointed comment? Insiders whisper about meltdown moments, tearful confrontations, and frantic phone calls demanding damage control. Critics are stunned, fans are rattled, and the entire internet is erupting with unfiltered opinions on who truly deserves the Snow White crown. These allegations aren't just petty drama, they're turning into a massive call-out of who's genuine and who's manipulating the spotlight. If what we're hearing is true, then we're witnessing a star undone by her own ambition. Her glossy image peeled back to reveal an unraveling meltdown. Hollywood insiders are snickering that this fiasco could be the final nail in the coffin for Zegler's rumored reign as Disney's latest darling. There's never been a time when a single statement from a co-star blew everything to pieces quite like this. If you thought the Rachel Zegler you knew was untouchable, think again. Let's dive into the entire story and see how this chaos erupted from a single spark into a blazing fire. Many people first caught wind of this drama through cryptic social media hints. Fans noticed tweets implying that Rachel Zegler was on the verge of a breakdown, while others posted screenshots of half-deleted comments hinting at friction on set. Suddenly, the internet was buzzing with speculation. Did Zegler actually have a meltdown over someone suggesting that she wasn't Disney's favorite pick for the iconic Snow White role? Rumors traveled fast, and multiple fan accounts insisted they had exclusive proof that Gal Gadot's offhand comment pushed Rachel over the edge. Whether it was a private conversation overheard or an accidental slip during an interview, people latched onto the idea that Gadot preferred Brett Cooper as Snow White. In these posts, Rachel was portrayed as frantic, furious, and deeply upset that her thunder was being stolen by someone who wasn't even officially attached to the project. Close watchers of the situation claim that the swirling chatter turned vicious almost immediately. Memes mocking Rachel's alleged meltdown started circulating, painting her as overly sensitive. Detractors accused her of feeling too entitled, acting like she was the only one who could possibly hold the Snow White mantle. Fans, meanwhile, rallied to her defense, insisting that any sign of emotional stress was understandable for someone constantly under the microscope of public scrutiny. Observers say this rumor gave new ammunition to critics who already doubted Rachel's fit for the role. She's been praised for her performance in past projects, but her detractors now claim she lacks the poise and emotional stability to carry a major Disney classic. That argument grew stronger as more talk of meltdown moments popped up online, each one painting Zegler as teary-eyed, frustrated, and bordering on manic whenever the topic of Brett Cooper arose. It didn't help that Rachel's social media presence fell quiet right as these rumors were peaking. Some interpreted her silence as a tactical retreat, while others read it as proof she couldn't face the backlash. The tension was palpable, fueling the sense that something massive was going on behind the scenes. All it took was one spark, a mention that Brett Cooper might be better suited for Snow White, and the entire narrative around Rachel Zegler's career hit meltdown territory. In a matter of days, what began as a whisper turned into a full-scale frenzy, challenging everything people thought they knew about this rising star. Gal Gadot is no stranger to the spotlight. She's an established name with a strong fan base, and her off-camera demeanor is usually seen as gracious. So, when rumors started circling that Gadot had made a comment favoring Brett Cooper over Rachel Zegler, many people were shocked. Some even refused to believe the rumor, claiming it went against everything they knew about Gadot's supportive nature. Yet that very contradiction is exactly why this rumor blew up. Speculation suggests Gadot didn't set out to slam Rachel, but instead made an innocent remark about how Brett Cooper's energy might capture the classic Snow White spirit. A harmless opinion, perhaps, but in a world where every passing statement is dissected, Gadot's words took on massive weight. What's more, insiders allege that this remark was delivered in the presence of key industry folks, maybe at a private gathering or an after-party. The story goes that one person overheard Gadot praising Brett's audition or potential, then passed the tidbit around. By the time it reached the internet rumor mill, it had ballooned into a narrative that Gadot publicly trashed Rachel in favor of Brett. To make matters worse for Zegler, Gadot's name carries so much credibility that her endorsement, or perceived endorsement, might seriously influence fan opinions. People trust Gal's instincts, given her history with major blockbuster roles. If she thinks Brett Cooper is better for the iconic princess, plenty of fans might be swayed to agree. Supporters of Rachel Zegler, however, have pushed back. They're insisting that if Gadot really did say something, it's been misunderstood or exaggerated. They point out that Gal Gadot is known for wanting everyone to succeed, not for driving them to meltdown territory. But even the possibility that Gadot's personal preference might veer away from Rachel has created a storm of controversy. Meanwhile, those who dislike Zegler's casting have gleefully latched onto the rumor. They say it proves that even a co-star sees her as unfit for the part. The entire scenario shows just how quickly Hollywood talk can spiral. One moment, everything's fine. The next, a slip of the tongue triggers an emotional avalanche that redefines how people view a star's entire career. In the midst of the swirling chaos, reports of Rachel Zegler's behind-the-scenes meltdown grew more frequent. Some claimed to have spotted her pacing around in tearful phone calls, while unverified insider leaks described heated arguments with management over the possibility that her role was being overshadowed. The narrative suggests that Rachel was terrified that Brett Cooper was quietly becoming the new favorite. Eyewitness accounts, which remain unconfirmed but are still being breathlessly repeated, depict Zegler as someone who felt blindsided. She'd allegedly invested a lot of energy into portraying Snow White in a way that would shatter expectations, hoping to prove she was more than just a one-hit wonder. Suddenly, rumor had it that the entire project might slip through her fingers because of a single comment from Gal Gadot. The meltdown stories get even spicier when discussing the personal drama. Some rumors mention frantic text exchanges where Rachel supposedly demanded that her team squash any talk of Brett Cooper. Others claim she vented to anyone who would listen, going so far as to warn that if Disney even thought about considering Brett as an option, she would raise a massive fuss. None of this is verified, but it's fueling daily speculation online. What's notable is the shift in public perception. Rachel had been labeled as a bright new talent with a humble demeanor. Now, these meltdown rumors paint a picture of desperation, as if she can't stand the idea of someone else taking her spotlight. Detractors point to this as proof that her nice girl image was always a facade. Fans retort that anyone would be emotional if they felt their big break was at risk. Adding to the tension are cryptic social media posts from acquaintances, or smaller-name influencers who claim something big is happening behind the scenes. They talk about how the real Rachel is emerging under pressure, how she's not what she seems, and how more revelations are likely to surface. Whether these people have real info or are just chasing clout is up for debate, but their statements keep the rumor mill churning. Even so, the meltdown angle might be overstated. It's no secret that Hollywood runs on drama, and a small hiccup can become a legendary meltdown if enough tongues wag. But the sheer volume of talk around Rachel's alleged breakdown suggests there's something fueling the story. Whether it's entirely manufactured or rooted in some grain of truth remains the question. While Rachel Zegler tries to fend off accusations of meltdown, Brett Cooper's name has soared in popularity. The rumor that Gal Gadot endorsed her as a more fitting Snow White has instantly boosted Brett's profile, even if she never publicly campaigned for the role. Fans of Brett point to her supposed audition clips floating around the internet or to the unmatched energy she brings to her performances. Some watchers argue that Brett Cooper's more traditional vibe aligns perfectly with what audiences expect from a classic princess portrayal. They hype her as someone with a fresh yet familiar look and an ability to captivate audiences in a single glance. Meanwhile, supporters insist that Brett's social media presence reveals a down-to-earth personality, making her more relatable to fans than a star who seems to be cracking under pressure. Interestingly, Brett hasn't made any direct statements about the possibility of becoming Snow White, which only fuels the mystique. People say she's using a wait-and-see approach, strategically staying quiet while the internet battles on her behalf. This silence is interpreted in different ways. Some say it's classy, others see it as a cunning PR strategy that keeps her name circulating without risking any missteps. Comment threads and fan groups have sprung up, comparing every detail of Brett Cooper versus Rachel Zegler. Who has the better singing voice? Who would embody that classic innocence? Who looks more iconic in hypothetical Snow White fan art? It's become a playground of speculation, with each side fiercely defending their preferred actress. Moreover, the industry press has started to pay attention. Websites typically focused on superhero leaks or red carpet fashion are now dissecting the possibility that Brett Cooper will swoop in and steal the role. While nobody official has confirmed a thing, the talk alone gives Brett an edge in the public eye. If she wasn't a household name before, she's quickly getting there. For Rachel, this groundswell of support behind Brett is the worst possible news. Every new wave of excitement around Cooper can be seen as a direct challenge to Ziegler's position. Fans wonder, if Disney notices how the public is reacting, could they actually reconsider their casting? That question, once unthinkable, now lingers in the back of everyone's mind. No Hollywood scandal is complete without alleged leaks. In this case, the talk centers on secret recordings and suspicious text messages that supposedly reveal manipulative tactics behind the scenes. Some claim these are from Rachel's camp, showing she tried to bully or guilt-trip certain decision-makers. Others say there are texts from Brett's supporters, showing a calculated campaign to push Zegler out. It's all extremely murky, with no concrete proof made public. But the rumor mill thrives on that uncertainty. People love to speculate that hidden phone calls or backstage footage might emerge any minute, exposing either Rachel's meltdown or Brett's cunning approach. The drama feeds itself as long as more whispers keep circulating. A few self-proclaimed insiders declare that Rachel demanded cast loyalty. Gossip claims she confronted colleagues, insisting they choose her side over Brett's. Another rumor insists Brett's managers quietly orchestrated a wave of social media posts to drum up hype against Zegler. While these narratives seem wild, they're fueling an ongoing soap opera that watchers can't turn away from. Out of all these stories, the biggest shockers involve alleged phone calls where Rachel might have lost her composure. Supposedly, she was furious that her name was dragged through the mud by Gadot's remark, and she lashed out at close associates for not defending her more publicly. This rumor, if true, suggests a manipulative edge, like she was trying to control how others reacted to the news. Interestingly, Brett's name comes up less in these leaked stories, possibly because she's new to the scene or simply not as prone to emotional outbursts. Some interpret that as evidence that Brett is calm and collected, while Rachel is flailing. Others argue that Brett is just as strategic, choosing to let Rachel's meltdown hog the spotlight so that she appears poised by comparison. Each day, new tidbits pop up, fueling debate about who is truly in the wrong. Is Rachel a victim of gossip? Or is she an entitled star unraveling? Is Brett being opportunistic? Or is she a genuine talent simply rising at the right time? The question of manipulation is central. Who's pulling strings behind the curtain and who's just trying to survive? In a brutal industry, right now, we stand at the edge of a Hollywood controversy that keeps deepening with every passing day. Rachel Zegler's supposedly tearful breakdown and Gal Gadot's rumored preference for Brett Cooper have combined to form a perfect storm of sensational headlines and social media battles. fans question everything they thought they knew about. These actresses with strong opinions fueling heated debates. Some say Rachel's meltdown is just the symptom of an overworked, star-battling toxic gossip. Others feel she's an entitled performer whose real nature is now exposed. Many champion Brett Cooper as a breath of fresh air, praising her so-called effortless poise and classic appeal. The push and pull between these viewpoints shows no sign of dying down soon. In the grand scheme, this scandal reminds us how quickly reputations can change in the entertainment world. One slip, one rumor, and a rising talent can find herself under siege. Meanwhile, a newer face can capitalize on a wave of speculation to catapult into the spotlight. It's a ruthless game, and the rules are always shifting. At this point, all eyes remain on Disney, Gal Gadot, and the two actresses who might be vying for the same iconic role. The meltdown narrative has sparked a chain reaction. Fans are divided, tabloids are swirling, and official statements are nowhere to be found. Until someone steps forward to give clarity, or until the next big rumor takes over, this saga will continue to dominate industry chatter. The real question is, will Rachel Zegler emerge from this storm stronger, proving the meltdown tales were exaggerated hype, or is this the beginning of the end for her Snow White dream? Meanwhile, will Brett Cooper ride the wave of public favor all the way to an official announcement? The stakes are sky high, the drama is raw, and the outcome is uncertain. Stay tuned, because if there's one thing Hollywood loves more than a triumphant success, it's a dramatic showdown that leaves everyone reeling.